Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Doc and Radical Show. I see we got Deacons of Reality on the program. Peace and blessings, big bro.
Peace,
How you
brother.
doing, Doc?
Man, I'm good. I'm energized. Slept pretty much all day, so I'm pretty much energized, man. I'm ready to roll, brother.
All right. Okay, so today our topic is the cost of being Black. Are you angry? We're going to look at 7 different scenarios. Well, I shouldn't even say scenarios. We're going to look at several different events that have happened in the course of Black life. And then look at it because you've heard the saying, the angry Black woman, the angry Black man. Now they have the angry Black teenager. And you also have a saying that because you're angry, it has been said, well, nobody owes you anything. Especially when it's, talking to a Black person, people will quickly say, nobody owes you nothing. It was said to me at one point, and I was puzzled by that response, by them saying that, because at that time, I didn't say anybody did owe me anything. But that was the response that was given. Nobody owes you anything. I want to welcome Brother Willie Rivers to the program. Peace and blessings, Brother Willie. Good to see you, big bro. But those things, Doc, what when it comes to Black people and that saying of nobody owes you anything, what's your thoughts on that?
On a on an individual level, if you cut off history, I understand that, because what you're doing is denying history and talking about a person's lifetime, versus if you put it within a larger historical context, there is no reasonable argument that you could forge that says that this nation and those who are benefiting from this nation do not owe Black folk immensely, especially when one considers the small amount of payment for the labor, for the brawn, for the toll, for the loss of life that our people have experienced. So such thinking kind of flows from an idea that you started at the same starting point and didn't have any hindrances or what have you. So historically speaking, we're definitely owed. Individually speaking, if you deny history and you want to believe that everyone starts at the same point, then no one owes you anything. But that flies in the face of what Malcolm said when he said, if you want to understand me, you got to look at my father, my father's father, and his father as well.
And I don't know, you've probably seen it too, where they do this experiment and they have all the people to line up, and they say, if you come from a 2-parent family,
the backpack thing.
Yeah.
It
is when you're talking about starting equal, is that what you're talking about?
Well, no. When I talk about starting equal, I'm talking about equality across the board, not just 2-parent household. Both parents being educated, both parents being somewhat wealthy. You're talking about a high standard, that there theoretically aren't any gaps in your development. And one of the things that we often hesitate to talk about is that when and this is sort of the consequences of white folk being addicted to their skin color, it is quite simply that when we're having these types of conversation, many of them are included, the majority of them are included in it as well, because they're not starting from an equal starting point with other wealthy or well-to-do white folk. Now, they may have some other advantages and what have you in regards to life because of skin privilege, but by and large, many of them are behind the 8 ball in the same way that many of us are. But the problem is, once again, that their addiction to whiteness and their hatred of black folk, which blinds them, keeps them from seeing that we are actually more of their natural political socioeconomic ally than their white wealthy brethren.
So Doc, when you look at it as total for total, our total black experience here in America from day one to right now, do black people really have a reason to be angry?
Well, certainly you have a reason to be angry. I mean, just the understanding of the caucasity, the gall of these people to travel to a continent and to steal people and transplant them, and then to force them to work, and then to deny them pretty much everything. And when they lash out, and keep in mind, the majority of crimes that are committed to this day are not, violent crimes. They're property crimes. You deny them everything or many things, and when they do lash out to have anything, they're arrested, they're jailed, they're X, Y, and Z. And this holds true even for black folk who are not ensnared in the criminal justice system as well. Because when you look at, and Marcus Garvey talks about this, having been in Europe, having been in North America, the Caribbean, and South America, Garvey says everywhere that he goes, that black folk are the poorest, the least educated, they own the least amount of land, they die the soonest, they're in the poorest of health. That sounds like black folk today. And so that's regardless of your socioeconomic status, your educational level, and what have you, that if you are born black in this nation, you are going to be behind the eight ball in one way or another. But now that's not denying that you could still have a pretty good life. But there are issues. Race is the thing that ties us together through and through. Okay. And it ties black folk together. And it also causes white folk to throw us in the same basket with each other until we can differentiate ourselves and prove that we're a good homie type of nigger for them.
When we look at let's take the mayor of Memphis, for example. He's a black man, and he met with gang leaders and was trying to get a 7-day ceasefire. They agreed to the ceasefire. And then, they was telling him, well, the reason that people's cars are being stolen, one, it's fun. Two, it's our youth ain't got nothing to do. They ain't got no jobs, so you gonna fix that, and they had a very frank conversation. But when the white media got a hold to it, that he actually, as they say, dignified gang leaders by letting them meet with the mayor and having a conversation, that laughed in the face of the police department. You're making it easy for them. But they had a good conversation, and they did get an agreement for a 7-day ceasefire. Now, whether the mayor is actually going to produce jobs for the youth there that's in these gangs, that's something else. But I think it's a meaningful first step. What would you call it? Do you think it's a step that Black authority has to make, or is this something that has been a misstep?
No, the thing is that, conversation is always good, especially when there are issues. If you don't have conversation, you don't have communication, there's nothing that can even be possibly done. However, let's be very clear. And this is sort of the one of the problems that we have in American cities. The mayor's office is not, except for city government, they're not in charge of growing and employment and hiring people, company growth and what have you. So in many ways, what's happening is that the mayor's taking what would be, I would consider not even a full step, but a stutter step towards opening up a dialogue and seeing and really testing the waters and seeing if this can be done. And obviously it can be done. You know, when we're talking about a criminal element, what we call in this society now a criminal element, let's be clear that there is an infrastructure. There are some rules. You know, I listening to you at, talking about a 7-day ceasefire reminded me of the great show The Wire, where two of the characters tried to kill Omar Little on a Sunday morning. And, who was his name? Avon Barksdale chastised him. He said, never on a Sunday morning. There's a ceasefire on a Sunday morning. We don't do anything on a Sunday morning. Okay, so you have that, but at the same time that you have that, you have this other party, which is the private business sector, that is in charge of the majority of hirings and firings, and they can bring you in or they can lock you out. And they're very clearly saying to you right now, no, we're not bringing them in. Regardless of what the mayor says, we're not going to hire them. We're not going to bring them in. And that's where your problem begins, because now you have those who are quote unquote gang leaders who've gone down to City Hall and have met with the mayor, and they held up their end of the bargain. Now, where are the jobs? Well, the mayor doesn't have many jobs to deliver. That's the business sector that has to deliver that. And they're clearly saying, what? No, we're not going to hire these types of people. I'm reminded, and ironically, my mother's side of the family is from Memphis, Tennessee. And my favorite cousin, we were the first boys in the family. My cousin Charles Patterson, he was unfortunately incarcerated for a period of his life, and he worked for a cell phone company, packaging cell phones, while he was incarcerated. And many people don't realize that some of the stuff that they're purchasing is being produced in our penitentiaries. But he's eventually released. And he thought it made natural sense that he would leave the penitentiary, had worked for this company, and could possibly be hired by the same cell phone company doing the exact same job. They refused to hire him because they said he was a convicted felon. And so, you have to, and everything, we notice everything is different when you're Black. Everything is harsher when you're Black, despite what white folk want to say about affirmative action and these quota hirings and things like that. But everything is more difficult when you're Black. Make no mistake about it. And so when you're talking about Black folk entering into the mainstream legitimate economy with even a slight scrape, let alone a full strike on their criminal record, many companies are going to be unforgiving and not allow you in. And the truth of the matter is that one of the benefits that white America has over Black America is that they have the mechanisms, well, they used to have the mechanisms to be able to employ their hardcore unemployables. Someone could call someone and get someone a job. Black America integrated themselves out of that ability way back, 60, 70 years ago.
Doc, I wanted to make sure I heard you right. You said Black people integrated themselves out of a job?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got to remember, and we never really talked about it this way, but the urge, I'll tell you what, the cleanest way to describe this is the movie Lackawanna Blues. Great film, and what have you. It's about Lackawanna, New York, and how the migration of Black folk from the South, they would end up at Nanny's house. It was sort of like a way station for you to get your feet up underneath you, and then you would move on, get your own housing and what have you. It shows a thriving Black community. Okay. Well, at the end of it, Nanny's older. She's nearing the end of her life apparently, and she asked the young man, who, an adult, his name, his character is played by Hill Harper, to go to the store to get something for her because she's still trying to be a caretaker, taking care of the people. Mm-hmm. And he's walking down the street, and he makes this very ominous commentary. When you look at the scenery, you see boarded up buildings that used to be businesses and what have you. And what Hill Harper said, his character says, is this: We forgot in our rush to integrate that every time a white door opened, a black one closed. And so it brings up the question of at Crest, at Woolworths, where we had the first sit-in movement from the students of North Carolina A&T. Where did those black students eat at before those lunch counters were even were integrated? Before you could sit at that lunch counter, where did you go eat? And we know that you went and ate at some quote unquote hole in the wall in the black community. Well, those were jobs. It might have only been 10, 12 jobs in the community, but those were jobs. And so when you have this effort to go ahead and integrate business wise, and just think about it this way, ironically, I was talking about this a couple of weeks back with some of my students. Why were you sent here? And they invariably say, well, yo, I was sent here to get an education so I can get a job. I said, yeah, you're trying to get a job at Microsoft. You're trying to get a job at IBM and what have you. Back in the 1930s and 1940s and 1950s, you may have been sent to an HBCU to learn business because you were going to go home and run the family grocery store or the family, corner store or what have you. The priority shifted, and the priority shifted to getting money. And so now we have black folk who are emerging from universities, from colleges or what have you, who are making more money than their ancestors could have ever dreamed of. And of course, I'm talking about the 1960s and 1970s. Same time that you're getting more money than they could have ever imagined, you're also not, you're not reinvesting in the community. You don't have the ability, a person who graduates from University of Memphis in 1971 doesn't have the same ability to hire anyone in the community that as their father and their grandfather did that ran a grocery store, because now they've gone to work for the man. And that's what I mean, that integration pulled, it caused you to lose jobs. All it did was allow you to be able to take your black dollars and walk into a white establishment and purchase from them. And the ability, one of the things our people have never been very good at is separating the ability to be able to go to a business versus the need and repercussions of taking your black dollars into that business and letting them fall out of your black palm.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Do you think that the advocates, black and white, for integration ever thought that during this process they'll be integrating themselves out of employment? Do you think that ever came up?
No, I think that when you go back and you read their memoirs and their diaries and things that they're writing in private, these issues never come up. What they're thinking is quite simply that once we're able to knock down segregation and we're able to deal with white folk on an even playing field, that we'll integrate ourselves into their society and they will somehow civically or economically become interlaced within our society. That didn't happen. We underestimated in our rush to integrate with people who told you from the very beginning, we want nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. In our rush to do that, we didn't tend to our own business structure. We didn't tend to our own economic house. And so what you wind up with is quite simply a situation where it's a black financial disaster, because the class that should have done this, and I mean the first class that was able to necessarily enter into PWIs, predominantly white institutions, and secure these higher levels of education, they were to come back. They were to come back and to serve as integral cogs within the stabilizing of Black America, the same way that white folk do. They go off to university and they go right back home to their community and build their community and stabilize their community. our educated class because they have been educated by white folk. Okay. And as a man thinketh, so is he. They begin to look at it not as a possible gain to be able to come out and go back home and to build up that community. Their gain is going out into some suburban area and purchasing a home, because they've been convinced that the greatest thing they could do is buy a home in a community that it's going to grow in value. They could have done the exact same thing within Black America. And the greatest indicator that they could have done the exact same thing is when you look at gentrification to this day. All you need is white folk to come into your community, clean it up, get the housing together, X, Y, and Z, and voila, you know, your home price is growing. You know, a brother here in Houston, Texas, that I tip my hat to, you know, a thug from around the way, Slim Thug. Slim Thug had a song called, very popular song called Tipping on Fofos, wrapped in Fofos. The Fofo down here is a place called Acres Homes. And Acres Homes is a historically Black area. And all the homes sat on an acre of land, believe it or not. But Acres Homes is not 10 minutes away from downtown Houston. Okay, so it's like prime real estate. But it was run down. If you've ever watched Animal Cops Houston, you will be persuaded that, falsely persuaded, that these Animal Cops Houston are out in the country somewhere. No, they in the fofo. Okay, it is the most countryest backwoods area. They're still riding horses down the street. And I'm talking about kids are riding horses like how we ride bikes. They ride horses down the street, galloping away. Okay. Wow. Slim Thug has gone into the fofo and bought up pretty much every parcel of land, every lot that he could get. And he's a real estate mogul now, you know, and unfortunately, a huge percentage of those who are buying those homes in those areas don't look like us. And so the poor Black folk are being forced out. But there was nothing that said that Black folk could not have built up in Acres Homes before white folk had an interest in it. We have an area here called Freedmanstown that was created by formerly enslaved Africans. Freedmanstown is no longer even called Freedmanstown. It's where the African American library is at, where the first Black school in this city was located. It's not even called Freedmanstown anymore. It's called Midtown. And you go down there and you think you're in San Francisco or somewhere, you know. It's a ritzy, upscale, you know, area. You know, the only thing that's really Black down there is the African American school. So we integrated ourselves out of location. We integrated ourselves out of political power and also economic power.
Wow. I want to welcome Earth Angel 1105 Remix to the program.
Troublemaker.
And so, Doc, there was a time from what I was told where you'll have on your street Black doctors, Black lawyers, and Black people who don't even have a job. They were all living on the same street.
They might not have been on the same street, but they were in the same neighborhood, the same community. You know, it was a time where if there was any benefit to what white folk would refer to as racial segregation, what intelligent Black folk referred to it as racial separation, that we ain't trying to live over there with them white folk. And there's some Black folk who understand that, you know, the white man's water ain't colder. His ice ain't colder. So we'll stay over here with our people. We just want to live decently. So you would have areas that would be affluent within the Black community. And it's the thing that, you know, we were then, as we are now, inextricably tied together. But when you take away that, what I would consider the stabilizing force of any community, and regardless of what you feel about the church, the stabilizing force for most communities was the Black church. That's where our people were. We gathered there. We had picnics there. We had homecoming celebrations there. That's where we were. And that's where we felt, most comfortable at. And that there was nothing wrong with that. But when you end up with these churches that are these black mega churches where it's the it church to be, well, now your stabilizing force has moved over there and they're attending that church. And it leads to a destabilizing of the very fabric of the community. It's one of the reasons why Black America appears to be so rudderless right about now. Because those who could have been that moral compass, who could have been that economic booster, they're living out amongst the white folk. But lo and behold, them white folk that they didn't pay 10 times the amount of money to go and live near, they got their eye on that old neighborhood that you just left. And they coming up in there, and when they come up in there, it's going to be like a batch. It's going to be 30, 40 of them coming in at the exact same time, and they getting on the homeowners association, and they going to do what they want to do. And what they want to do by and large is to strip that community of its historical memory.
Wow. Doc, we're going to go into the 1968 Olympics.
Mexico City.
Yes, sir. Mexico City. What the protest where you see the picture, with the black fist raised?
Jimmy Smith and John Carlos. Yeah.
Exactly. What's your thought on their protest?
The first thing that I think of is quite simply them brothers only had one pair of gloves. Because if you look closely, somebody got a glove on the wrong hand. But it's a different time. I mean, it's 1968. So you're talking about 2 years after the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense has been formed. Black folk are wearing afros. Black folk are asserting a cultural authority upon the world that, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. That type of thing. So I looked at it as the equivalent of a minority colony that has always been silenced by the mother country, finally getting on the main stage and embarrassing that mother country, speaking loud at that opportune moment that, no, everything is not well within the United States of America. And it creates this very interesting dichotomy that when you're really thinking about it, and Du Bois talks about this, about it is a peculiar sensation to view oneself through the eyes of another. He talks about this idea in the souls of Black folk of duality, that he would not want to bleach his African side with the whiteness of America, because he believes that Africa has a gift to give the world, and at the same time he would not want to silence his American side because he believes it also has a gift for the world. What he really wants to know, is it possible for a man to be both Black and American? Okay. It's duality. And so this is a shocking, and what makes it so shocking is because America, despite Du Bois having written those words 60 plus years before, Black America in general hasn't dealt with that. America is still trying to operate from this singularity position that says, quite simply, you're an American and that's all you are. That's not true. And it's not true for any of us. Not for Italian Americans, Polish Americans, Russian Americans, what have you, gay Americans. Okay. The duality keeps going on and on and on and on, and increasing. So that's what I see. I see two brothers who were caught up in the fervor of making a political statement, and I know that they could have never imagined what the fallout from that one gesture would be.
Interesting. I want to welcome Old Reliable to the program. Peace and blessings, big bro. Glad to see you with us. All right, we're going to go and watch this short clip about the story behind the Olympic protests, and then we're going to come right back.
1968 U.S. Olympic track and field team is considered one of the greatest ever assembled to represent the U.S. in the Olympics. They won 28 medals and set 8 world records at the Games in Mexico City. The team included some of the fastest runners in the world at the time, like sprinters Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who made history when they accepted their medals and then raised their fists during the playing of the U.S. national anthem in a protest full of symbolism. And they almost didn't even show up that year.
Black men and women athletes have unanimously voted to fully endorse and participate in a boycott of the World Olympic Games in 1968.
Members of the team threatened to stay home in protest of racist treatment of Black athletes in America.
They will not participate in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City unless something is done about these terrible evils and injustices.
So that in case our black boys don't want to go.
What would they have to do for you to go to Mexico?
Boycott is still on.
The story of this silent protest and the boycott that almost was starts with the buttons all 3 medal winners wore that day, the Olympic Project for Human Rights. The Olympic Project for Human Rights, or OPHR, was founded in 1967 by sociologist, educator, and former star athlete Dr. Harry Edwards. It was a coalition of prominent Olympic athletes that threatened to derail American Olympic glory by opting out of the Games, to protest the racism in sports that, for decades, had gone unaddressed. In the mid-20th century, sports seemed to be a leading example of improved racial equality in the United States. Black athletes like football player Kenny Washington and baseball player Jackie Robinson broke racial barriers by joining professional leagues in 1946 and 1947. Which, until that point, had been whites only. College and professional sports teams gradually integrated from there, years ahead of racial segregation legally ending in the United States.
So the media began to promote the Black athlete as a symbol that racial democracy existed in the United States. If Jackie Robinson can make it, then why can't other Blacks make it? And so it was kind of a factor that was used to dismiss the question of institutionalized racism.
But in the 1960s, the myth of racial progress in America began to dissolve. The Civil Rights Act ended legal segregation in 1964, but Black Americans continued to face institutionalized racism and police brutality.
Integration simply wasn't successful in terms of improving Black people's lives, and you needed to force further change.
Years of frustration ultimately erupted in widespread violent riots.
I think the further we get away from that, we underestimate the influence of the riots. The riots happened in a lot of urban cities across America. Black people still live in terrible socioeconomic conditions in the cities. And that was just as much a problem as Jim Crow laws. So how do you attract attention to that?
A growing Black Power movement and Black student movement in the 1960s emboldened Black athletes to speak up about the racial injustices they endured off the field.
There's no difference between Black and a white athlete. We're all out there sweating, we run on 2 legs. But it's a difference in the way society treats us after we leave the track.
But with the 1968 Olympics coming up, Black athletes saw an opportunity to push for change.
The idea of a Black Olympic boycott had been around since 1959, and it went through various fits and stops until you get to the Black Power Conference in 1967. And the Black Power Conference basically argued that you should use any means possible to force the government to pay attention to institutionalized racism.
For Harry Edwards, that meant organizing the Olympic Project for Human Rights.
And I think one of those things that are necessary right now is the Olympic boycott movement and the whole revolt of the Black athlete in this country.
He realized that he could use Black sports participation as a way to attract attention to the problem.
The OPHR had 5 key demands, among them being to disinvite South Africa and Rhodesia, 2 countries practicing apartheid, from competing in the Games, the removal of openly racist International Olympic Committee President Avery Brundage, and hiring Black coaches to U.S. teams. The potential boycott became a hot topic in the news and of debate among athletes.
All the Black athletes want to run, but we don't want to close the door on millions of Black people here in the United States.
I don't see a boycott really helping the Negro cause.
In the months leading up to the Games in Mexico City, The OPHR kept members of the press guessing whether they would attend or not.
We will let you know about the future of your Olympic team when we deem it proper and when we feel that you can handle that kind of information. Right now, we just don't think that you're ready.
Tom, when will come a determination whether you, Lee Evans, and others will or will not boycott the Olympics?
I wish I could tell you.
Ultimately, it came down to a vote.
The decision was made that if there wasn't really a kind of unified or the majority of that black athletes would participate, the boycott would be called off, because those who did boycott, like Tommie Smith, would have been boycotting in vain. Another black person simply would have taken their place.
Even though most of the OPHR's demands remained unmet, the athletes headed to Mexico City with plans to make their own demonstration if the opportunity arose, which it did on October 16th, following the men's 200-meter final. OPHR members Tommie Smith and John Carlos won gold and bronze, respectively, and Smith set a new world record. After the race, they solemnly approached the medal stand, shoeless, wearing black socks, accepted their medals, and just as the U.S. national anthem began to play, did this. For the full duration of the Star-Spangled Banner, Smith and Carlos bowed their heads and each raised a black-gloved fist in the air to protest the racial injustice in their home country and show solidarity with those fighting for equality. The fists are not the only symbolic gesture in this image, as Tommie Smith explained later.
The right glove signified the power within Black America. The left glove signified Black unity. The scarf that was worn around my neck signified blackness. John Carlos and me wore black socks without shoes to also signify our poverty.
Additionally, John Carlos wore his jacket unzipped, a violation of Olympic etiquette, to show solidarity with working-class Americans. He also wore beads to honor victims of lynching. And finally, all three medal winners, including silver medalist Peter Norman of Australia, wore
buttons reading Olympic Project for Human Rights. There were some boos in the stadium last night.
This moment was the ultimate manifestation of the work of Harry Edwards and the OPHR to intersect outspoken political activism with sport. And it ended Smith and Carlos's Olympics.
Well, the International Olympic Committee suspended them Friday. Their credentials were taken away, and they were told they could not stay in Mexico.
They were dropped from the U.S. Olympic team and given 48 hours to leave Mexico. Sports journalist Howard Cosell criticized the U.S. Olympic Committee's decision in this fiery broadcast from Mexico City.
They say the games are sports, not politics, something separate and apart from the realities of life. But the black athlete says he is a human being before he is an athlete, that he wants equality everywhere, not just within the arena.
Tommie Smith and John Carlos were saying black athletes don't have it made in American society. We may be famous, but we face the same discrimination that other black people do. And we don't appreciate being used as a way to counter the black struggle coming out of black communities. Black athletes are black. People have multiple identities. I think Colin Kaepernick is representing a voice in the black community, which is the same thing I think that Carlos and Smith were saying, that the black struggle is more than just about integration and assimilation. It's also about empowering this particular community. And people like Tommie Smith, Harry Edwards, John Carlos came from poor black communities.
Which is why this protest on the Olympic medal stand wasn't just about sports, as Tommie Smith explained to Howard Cosell the next day.
Do you think you represented all black athletes in doing this?
I can say I represented Black America. I'm very proud to be a black man and also to have won the gold medal. And this, I thought I could represent my people by letting them know that I'm proud to be a black man.
All right, so there you have it. That was the story behind the iconic Olympic protest. And I read a piece a few years ago, not sure which one of them had made the remark, but I do remember reading that one of them said they wish they had not done it, that they wish they had not raised their hand, because all of the stuff they had to go through coming back home, can't get a job, can't do this, can't do that. You know, the picture was everywhere. Everybody knew them. So they didn't calculate the price that would be paid for raising your fist in the air. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I'm not surprised that the repercussions, you know, when you do something like that, and it's what it really highlights is that there's a level of trouble that you can get yourself in, that there are no Black folk around who possess the ability to get you out of it. You know, the endorsements that you should have gotten, the welcome that you should have gotten, you muted all of that for just this one moment. And if you were looking for those types of things, you made the wrong choice, because this nation has a long memory for anything that Black folk do that they consider to be antagonistic or negative or what have you, a very, very, very long memory. And they're going to ultimately starve you out. It's no different than what we were talking about earlier with white companies making the decision to not hire Black folk. That's their business. They don't have to hire you. And I don't think that Carlos and Smith and really any professional athlete can really conceive. Look at what happened with Kaepernick. I don't think they can really conceive that they're more willing to punish you than to have you playing and helping their sports franchise or what have you. So yeah, it's a rough road to hoe. And it's one thing to do something at 21, 22 and to have the exuberance and all the fame that'll come from doing it momentarily. But that's going to dog you into your 50s, into your 60s. And some of the opportunities that you believe that you rightfully earn are not going to be available to you. So I'm not surprised at that at all. Not at all. I would have predicted that.
Wow. I want to welcome Realm in the Bush. Peace and blessings, Sister Cassie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, I put the link in your inbox, so if you can make it to the program. I know you said you were busy, but if you can make it, definitely. The link is there. Come on in. Mr. Adofi, peace and blessings. Welcome to the program too, big bro. What do you say?
Yeah, he's right.
Pay for his stance. They would rather give him 20 million than be seen by 20 million people.
Yeah.
So what did they pay him for his stance? What?
Collusion to keep him out of the league.
Oh, we're talking about Kaepernick.
Yeah, Kaepernick.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. I thought we were talking about them, but yeah, I definitely see that with Kaepernick. Doc, do you think the price that they paid to raise the Black fist back then, was it a price that they should have calculated? Was it worth it in the end game?
I mean, was it worth it? Should they have calculated it? You do anything against white folk, especially something that's perceived to be against American patriotism, they're gonna make you pay for it. So those that calculation, if they were of sound mind and body, would have been okay. If we do this, we'll never really work again. We'll be pariah within the field of athletics forever. They should have understood that. But was it too high of a price to pay? I argue probably, I would argue no, because you're standing for a higher principle. Then you're standing for something. You're standing on principle and what have you. But at the same time that I'm saying that, it ended their career. And It ended their career, their affiliation with the United States Olympics. So was it worth it? I don't know. If they're looking for elongated view, then I would say probably not. But and this is probably what would have made it worth it. Our people are always so wrapped up in symbolism, so wrapped up in, we're gonna hold fist up in this. Well, what comes next? What was the next step? What was the next plan? Because was the ultimate goal to have Tommy Smith and John Carlos stand up there and do something that is symbolic, and there's no meat, there's no power behind it? We don't have a next move against these people. If we had a next move, that would have made it worth it. But for it to be purely symbolism, and in many ways, you could almost argue that Harry Edwards is out of pocket for ending these men's career, because there's nothing else there, and obviously Black athletes weren't willing to sit out the Olympics, not en masse. So what's your next move? And considering that there is no next move, there's no master plan, there's no larger overarching thing. No, it wasn't worth it, because it in many ways was simply a blip in the history of protest, because no new legislation, no new efforts, no new X, Y, and Z flowed from it.
Wow. Peace and blessings, Sister Cassie. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Wow, thank you. Sorry I'm late. You guys had to take care of some business. Man, I'm looking at that and I'm like, wow, that video is just like, if Black folk, period, would ever stand together for something, that's the problem. We don't want to stand together. We would rather take the crumbs instead of going for the big, the big meal. But we always have to, we'll just snatch up the crumb. We'll tell on one another, coon out, anything to get their crumbs. Never having a plan. We have to get to the point where we have a plan. If we're going to do something like that, that would have been worth it. If all of us collectively, boycott the Olympics, not just them, I think then it would have made a difference. But when you do it, just doing something just for just two people, it's not going to work. We have to get to the point where we're boycotting more. You know what I'm saying? I believe in more than boycott, but if we could start somewhere, let's take a boycott. Let's hold on to our money. I've been talking about that for years. Hold your money. That right there speaks louder than anything, because Black folk, we're the one who run the world. We finance everything. White folk don't spend no money. Black folk will go out and spend $400 for Trump gym shoes. I'm just saying. Until we get our minds together and come together and stand for something, let's put a plan. If we're going to do this, okay, what are we going to do? What's that going to be connected to? If it's going to be connected to police brutality, is it going to be connected to the prison reform? Is it going to be connected to economics? Is it going to be connected to what? We got to connect it to something. If we're going to burn down some stuff, let's connect it to police brutality. But until we connect it to something, it's a waste of time just for one or two people to stand up there and hold a fist. Come on. I understand why they did it, but it should have been more attached to it.
Well, let me ask you all, and I want to ask those in the chat as well. Could you answer this question? Can you be American and Black at the same time? Can you do that? Is that possible? Doc?
Most certainly. Most certainly. I don't concede anything to these people. And it's just what it is. This is our nation. This is not their nation. And anytime we concede even a centimeter to them, ideologically, economically, socially, politically, we're in error. We have every right to assert our authority. We have every right to do what it is that we want to do within our community, just like they have every right to do what they want to do within their communities. I don't allow them to set the discussion points. I don't allow them to tell me when and where I enter in regards to this nation that my ancestors built. Make no mistake about it. This motherfucker wouldn't even exist if Black folk had not toiled and strained under it. So I'm not releasing that claim, that birthright to them, and I'll battle them, from here to eternity for that fact. They are not my moral superiority. They're not superior to me in any way. So why would I allow them to dictate where I stand in relation to this nation?
All right, Doc. Sister Cassie?
You know what? I think about that and I'm listening.
You all right?
I'm hearing the question that you just said. Can we be Black in the midst of them? If we had stayed separate, like our ancestors separated us and told us, okay, I'm going to give you this right here. And if we had built that up, then yes, we could have been, because we would have had something to stand on. We'd have had our own hospitals. We'd have had our own homes. We'd have had our own land. We'd have had our own schools. We'd have had our own. Then I think yes. But when you're mixed in the mix of it, it's very hard to do that when you're depending on them for every bread, when you're depending on them for your breath, when you're depending on them for your food, when you're depending on them for everything. It's very hard to say, no, I'm not going to do that to the hand that's feeding you. If that dog, you have a dog, if he bites you, he already know. He going to the Chinese shop. He already know. You understand what I'm saying? He already knows that it's a done deal. So that's why he does everything. He's always there to wag his tail. You come to the door, he's, oh my God, like he ain't seen you in, forever. Because he knows that that's what he has to do in order to get fed. So we have to, do what we have to do in their system until we build our own system. But if we don't build our own system, I don't see how. Please, somebody help me to understand. Just like Oprah, she's got millions, but guess what? Let her go against the plan. They're going to strip her of every dime she got. Kanye West, he was going against the plan. What happened? He got his butt right back in order, didn't he? Because he was going against the plan and they locked his finances. So if you have a separate everything, yes, separate banking, separate, yeah, you can do it, but not amongst, I don't see how.
Excellent. And let's see, the chat says, welcome Forecast Radio. Peace and blessings, big bro. Welcome to the program. Brother from Forecast said, no, we have never been American. The land is different from the corporation of America. Mr. Dolphy say, we have tried to have our own, and white America would just destroy it. And when we bounce back, we get infiltrated by our own, reported on, and white America comes to destroy it.
So even with that, does that mean we don't try? Does that mean we never have our own? We never build. We're going to always depend on them for our every breath, for our every bread. I don't believe that that's what we should do. I think that, okay, just like the Deacons of Defense, what they do, you come on over here, we got that. That's what white America needs. They need to know they need to have consequences. We minding our business. When you bring your behind over here, we're gonna deal with you. When they get that in their heads, because I remember time white folks scared Black folk when we were in high school. I'm just saying they didn't bother us, did they? Why? Because they had the fear. They knew that we didn't play with them because they went through the 60s with us. You know what I'm saying? We went through the 60s and 70s and we saw the Black Power. We saw the Black Panthers. We saw the result of what would happen when they went against us, right? They understood and they remembered that. But now they're not scared of you because they know you're not gonna hit them because you're going to jail. They're the favorite child. You hit them, you're gonna be in trouble. All they got to do is cry, and you going your behind the jail. So that's the difference.
And when I think about that question, can I be a Black man and American at the same time? My answer is I cannot. And I say I cannot because to be an American means that you have to go with the American ideology of what America stands for. You buy into that position, and then you do your best to live up to that position. And so that way is not the way for Black people. Now, I found this, and I'm going to share it and read just part of it, because it to me, it made sense when you think about really what does it mean to be an American, and you're given your all, because in reality, when I joined the military, I didn't join the military as a Black man. I joined the military as an American. That's what I joined as an American. Not having the knowledge that I have now, but back then when I was a little teenager, I joined as an American, willing and ready to take life and lose my own in defense of this great country that we call America. Again, that was my thinking as a 18-year-old child. But here it says, it is often said that being an American means sharing a commitment to a set of values and ideas. Writing about the relationship of ethnicity and American identity, the historian Philip Gleason put it this way: to be or to become an American, a person did not have to be any particular national, linguistic, or religious ethnic background. All he had to do was to commit himself to the political ideology centered on the abstract ideas of liberty, equality, and republicanism. Thus, the universalist ideological character of the American nationality meant that it was open to anyone who willed to become an American. Now, for me, that's very important, because you can see the Indians coming to America, get in the Republican Party, and they more American than the white man is, because they bought in to the American ideology, to the American ethic, to the American way, and now they propagate that better than anybody. When you look at Vivek, you look at Nikki Haley. When you look, I forget the forecast. What's your lieutenant governor name? The Black woman. She ain't from America, but yet she propagates the ideology of America, and she falls right in line. And it's unfortunate, but that ideology is against Blackness. Like Colin Powell said in his book, he said he came to work one day and there was a noose sitting on his desk. Now, this was at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Same place where I've ever first been called the nigger, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He was a lieutenant colonel over I think it was the 50 Deuce or 187th Infantry. But when he got to work that day, they put a noose on his desk. And he said, I had to ignore it. He said, in order for me to get where I am today, I had to put my Blackness on hold. And when I read that, I was like, damn, that's the price to be where you are, to deny self?
Absolutely.
In order to accept this? Mm-hmm. That's a price that I couldn't pay. Forecast, thanks for Forecast for the sister's name. Winsome Sears. She's a Jamaican sister. Now,
that's the price a lot of Black folk paying. That's a price a lot of Black folk. If you want to fit into their system, you're going to play their game, whereas you're not going to play it. Period. You're going to lose your Blackness. You're going to be who we want you to be. You're going to say what we want you to say. You're going to do what we want you to do. And if you think about being Black, we're going to cut your neck off. We're going to cut it off, period. And that's the only way. Just like that anthem. We sung our Black anthem and them crackers was crying, oh, you divide America. Bitch, America been divided. What you talking about? Because I want to sing a Black song because I'm Black? America, I'm dividing the country? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And that's the only way that we're going to flow. But like I said, if we had stayed separate and had our own and not depending on them for everything, yeah, we could walk around with our, woo, I'm Black and I'm proud. We sure could have. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to taste the same ice that was coming out the same pipe. We wanted to see if their ice was colder. And now we get over here and it's dirtier than ours is. Because look at Michigan City. Look at Michigan City, how they treat them niggas over there. I'm sorry. How they treat them Black folk over there. They don't care. They've been drinking dirty water for years. And who did it? Their government. And nobody is paying the price. Nobody. They just went to court. And what they do, they went to their court and nobody gets to go to jail. Nobody, no punishments, no nothing. Oh, so this is how we're doing it. Okay, what happens when we pour that same stuff in your water? Who going to jail then? You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, we have to totally lose our Blackness. You can't wear your hair like this. You know what I'm saying? You have to, straighten it, wear the perm that's causing cancer. You can't, and you already know, seeing a young man who tried to wear his locks to school. What they do? They've been tripping with that young man ever since. And locks was always a no-no for them. That, oh, you're rebellious. You can't wear your hair like that. Well, that's my culture. Why can't I wear my culture? You wear you wear your hair. Mm-hmm. So we have to always fit into their realm in order to be successful. Which sucks. That means somebody's got to, I got to fake all day. I got to yes and master all day. And as soon as one day you look at him and you want to spit in his water, then you're okay. You want to then you go over there and you're gonna be hungry. You're gonna be without no food for you, no gas, no laundry, no medical, no home, no nothing. You out there in the cold because we want to be who we are. You brought us over here. We was Black when we came. What you thought it was gonna scrape the Black off and be white? That's what they want you to do. They want you to be like who's that guy, Scott? Your old Trump, I love you. What the world? You look like a fool up there. Trump don't even. Okay, I'm not even gonna go there. But still, you understand what I'm saying. You gotta play the game. You got to play the game or have your own. I rest my mic.
Doc, what do you think when we're talking about that American ethic, that American way, that whole ideology of what it takes to be an American, and when you're looking at that and seeing what it really means, what it really takes to be a Black man, I don't see those two being one. I see them clashing.
I don't disagree with you with seeing them clashing. And what I'm talking about is quite simply, and if you read what it is that he says, he talks about this abstract ideal, which means not fully formed. I battle them along those abstract ideals. Now, of course, I understand what the vast majority of people who are, as James Baldwin would term them, my fellow countrymen. I understand what their mindset is. I understand what it is they're saying, and I understand what even my Black countrymen are saying when they go ahead and they conform to political positions that are not advantageous to their people. I just choose to not concede to them that they have the only authority to dictate what these things actually mean. Now, they may have the numbers, and they may have, the power behind it. But from my perspective, I'm less concerned with what their ideals are. And I'm not really even paying attention to it. I'm not even bouncing off of or reacting to their understanding of what it means to be an American. What I'm actually addressing is quite simply building Black America. Let them do what they're going to do and concentrate on building your own. It's what every other group has done here. We're the only ones that spend so much time talking about what their understanding of Americanism is, what this means, what that. No, fuck that. Build your own house. And you build your own house and you set your own rules. You educate your children. You create your own heaven on earth here. As long as we're reacting to what it is that they're saying and what it is that they're attempting to put down, we're going to continue to be behind the 8 ball, because you're never going to change their understanding, because their understanding and their perspective is one that is politically advantageous and economically profitable for them. We got to do the same for us.
So, Doc, you're essentially saying redefining, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're essentially saying that you're redefining what it is to be an American according to your standard.
No. I'm not redefining it, because I don't acknowledge their position. So there's nothing for me to redefine. I have my own perspective. I have my own position of where Black America needs to go. Okay. And the perspective that I have in regards to where Black America needs to go is advantageous for America. At least from my perspective, it is. Now they disagree, but I'm over here busy building, okay, my perspective and my belief system and what have you. And I pay no never mind to what it is that these nitwits are talking about.
Definitely. I want to welcome Mayat to the program. Peace and blessings, Queen. We're glad that you're with us. I want to go back and look at a few of these comments. Earth Angel Remix, she writes, I'm wondering how much financial security and materialism does it take to stand on our own? Some of our people's selfishness, hard-headedness is what is hurting us. Doc, what do you say about that?
For once, Earth Angel is right on it. What I'll say about that is she's absolutely positively correct. You know, because you've engaged that system and you have adopted the worldview, the persona, the perspective of that system. That is going to be of no use to us. There is no amount of money, if you are wrapped up in the intrinsic value of material things, there's no amount of money that you'll ever make that'll satisfy that. Because what you're standing for is materialism, consumerism. That's not our way. It has never been our way. So as long as you're a capitalist, you'll never have enough to be financially secure. So what I'm talking about, once again, is quite simply go your own way. You are, whether you want to realize it or accept it or not, you are an American. That is what your passport is going to say. Now carve out your own America within this landmass that we know as America. You know, it takes me back to, once again, I use this a lot, that great line in the Mac where Roger Mosley says quite simply, what we need to do is create a nation within a nation, but without a nation. Come on, Black America, we've been here too long to be fooled into thinking that they will reasonably, routinely, repeatedly, and regularly support anything that is good for us. So we have to go our own way. And going our own way does not mean grabbing 6, 7 states. It would be nice if we got that, but let's roll with what we got at our disposal. What we got at our disposal are a flimsy Black church institution, and we have communities. Let's build those instead of sitting up here worried about what these people are saying.
Thanks, Doc. Sister Cassie, what's your thoughts on Earth Angel's comment? She's wondering how much financial security and materialism does it take to stand on our own?
Black Wall Street done it. It was done before. Our ancestors did it. It's going to take us pulling our monies together, because it's not going to be done by itself. Just like Georgia, okay? Little bitty Georgia. What those white folks doing? They separating it, right? They want their own little piece of pie. And we as black folks sitting there, okay, give it to them. You want your own little piece of pie? We want our own piece of pie too. Seriously, what are we waiting for? Black Wall Street pulled their monies together. It wasn't about us voting. Voting had nothing to do with it. It was about them putting their monies together, buying up land, right? Building houses. It was done. Period. How hard is separating? How hard is buying land? You can get land at the auction for $5,000 and $1,000. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with us? Like I said, we have to pull our monies together. You're not going to do this without coming together. One person can't do it. You have a family of 19 that bought 100 acres of land. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's pulling your monies together. They're making it happen. And if more of us did that, more of us supported them, that's a start right there.
But Sister Cassie, can I jump in real quick and ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think part of the problem is that what you're talking about, which I'm a Washingtonian. I believe in Booker T. Washington's position. Is part of the problem that our people are having in regards to that is that it's not sexy, it's not sensational, it's not confrontational. And, without those elements, it seems as if our people will not rally behind it. And I yield.
You know what? Even with that, they have taught you for 70 years. They have toned us down. They've toned us down to a point right now, we can't go against them. We're going to die. Have you looked around? You're dying anyway. I'll take my chances. I'm a revolutionary. I believe in changing. I believe in building. If I got to use them to build, I'm going to use them to build. But guess what? Eventually, I'm going to be free of their system. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take our mindsets to change. And some people so far gone, bro, I don't think it's too late. Some people so far gone. I hear this Peterson guy. What's that dude, Peterson? The crazy man. What's the Peterson man? The one that talks crazy.
Jesse Lee.
Oh my God. I want to, you know what? I ain't gonna tell you what I want. But the thinking, the mindset, even to be paid for that kind of talk to come out of his mouth, I almost want to pay somebody to go over there and handle some business. I'm just saying. I mean, that's just out of order right there. Yeah. That's totally out of order. That right there, the first time he opened his mouth, somebody should have put their fist in it. Dude, I seen this movie. Forecast, what movie was that? Oh my God. What they was doing, they was kidnapping the coons and they was deprogramming them. I think it's going to take about 5 years, 20 years to deprogram their brother. I don't know what the name of the Forecast. If you hear, put that in the chat. It was a movie that he sent me to watch. And that they were deprogramming the coons, right? Because they was out there. And, at the end of the movie, it was working. But I'm telling you, it's going to take us coming together and changing our mindset. And the ones that's ready to build, we can separate it. We can do it because they did it. That little white community in Georgia doing it. Buckhead, aren't they doing it? They got a total separate Georgia. And black folk, you're not buying, you're not selling, you're not coming over there, you're not coming through there. They got their own police department. So if they can do it, you mean we can't? With Deacons of the Fence, we can. Come on over here if you want to. We're going to handle one or two, and we're going to send them back home with their ass handed to them. Period. We have to do something. We have to be so ready for change that we're willing to die for it. Because that's what it's going to take. Nothing is going to change without bloodshed, family. You think they actually going to give you something? What have they ever given Black people? What have a party that we have sacrificed our lives to? What have they ever given you? Name me one thing the Democratic Party has done just for Black people. Not infrastructure, because that's for everybody. One thing. Can anybody in the chat name one thing? I'm just saying. We have to get our mind changed. And I don't think it's going to take us dedication. It's going to take us wanting to do this. It's going to take you changing your mindset, changing your will and your desires. I'm tired of what I'm seeing. I don't know about y'all. I'm tired of it. I'm just saying, we have Mississippi. How many majority Black in Mississippi, Brother Maurice? How many? What's the majority of Mississippi? That could be one state that Black folk can come and we can run them crackers up out of there. because it ain't that many of them. But it's so sad because Mississippi, little old Mississippi, is still ran by white folk. Tell me why. Tell me why. Mississippi is what, 85% black? 90%?
Yes, ma'am. It is majority black.
White folk running Mississippi still. That's their brotherly love, right? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Black folk need to have their behinds handed to them. What's wrong with the mindset? What's going on here? That we can't get it together here and want something different, want to be free. You're gonna go and fight in the service, then you come on. I got a whole area. We fight for Mississippi. Where my soldiers at? Let's go, soldiers. Let's fight for Mississippi. How hard is that? Who's ready? Black folks sit there. Oh, Cassie crazy. Okay, you'll never be free. You sit right there. You'll never be free. I'm tired. It's gonna take you being tired. I rest my mic.
Yes, man. Thank you, Sister Cassie. You know, the forecast said the movie is Drop Squad. Drop Squad is the movie. And Doc looks like Earth Angel is going to take you to the woodshed because you must have been misbehaving. She says she's going to give you a whooping.
Black on black crime needs to stop. All this black on black violence, Earth Angel.
We want to say peace and blessings to What's the Code. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. We're glad that you're here. Let's say, what do Democrats do that Republicans don't do? That's a good question. Sister Cassie, what do Democrats do that Republicans don't do?
Say your question again. I'm sorry.
What's the Code says, what do Democrats do that Republicans don't do?
What do Democrats do? My thing is the Republicans, we're not even talking about the Republicans. Why do black folk go there? We can care less. Republicans has nothing to do with this conversation because black folk don't vote Republicans. So they don't owe you anything. But we do vote, black folk do vote for Democrats, right? So I expect something. I expect something. You're giving everybody else who don't vote for you something. So you don't expect nothing, black folk? So it's not about the Democrats at all. It has nothing to do with Democrats. Why do people do that? They want to throw the Democrats. Democrats don't owe you, the Republicans don't owe you anything. You're not even voting for them. But you do go all out for the Democrats, don't you? And they give you absolutely nothing.
And, you know, one thing that I look at when the talk of Democrat versus Republican, everything that has happened to us in our sojourn in America that came through law passage, Republicans voted on it just like the Democrats. There's no, for me, there's no difference between them. They all about the same exact thing. That's why we have to have our own political party. And that's why we have the Black First political party. We can't continue the foolishness of thinking one white man is better for us versus the other. Now, I also want to look at Mr. Dofi's comment before we go to our next video. He said, I spent my younger years in small town Arkansas. If a black person put their hands on a white person, you was going to end up in the Mississippi River, or they're going to put your dead body on the train tracks. Now, I think the code there that white people have established and that black people, for the most part, obey, that if you mess around with us, we're going to kill you. If we tell you not to vote, you're not going to vote, or we're going to kill you. We tell you not to do this, you're not going to do it, or we're going to kill you. If you whistle at our women, we're going to kill you. If you look at her underwear on the clothesline, we're going to kill you. So their speech of violence is ever so clear. You know, if you make that white woman cry and she pick up that phone, you know it's trouble coming. So the question has to be, what's our problem with speaking that same language?
Exactly. Totally. You do unto me, I'm going to do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, some of this stuff that you see now, just like that little boy that got hung. What about that little, 2 weeks ago, Mississippi? They found this little body. He just traveled, came from somewhere, moved down Mississippi. I don't know what part it was. And 2 weeks later, he was dead. Okay, so what are we going to do about that? That's what I'm talking about. Just like that. Okay, so do we find out who he was around? Do we find out what new friends? Find out some information, and we do unto them as they do unto you. Plain and simple. All of this, all of it would come to a halt. I guarantee you it. I guarantee you it. If they saw that we was doing to them the same way, you touch our women, you're going to get the same thing. Period. You dating our women, you're going to get the same thing. But black folk, what we do? Well, that's my baby. He went there, he died. And we, well, that ain't my child. So I don't know what you going to do, sister. My baby over here, he fine. Okay, but what if he's not? Why don't we shut it down before it is your baby?
Right.
I'm just saying, let's shut it down. We got to change the mentality. People think, this is crazy talk for some black folk. I believe in justice. I believe in protecting my family. I believe in doing unto others that they have done. God told us to do that. So why aren't we doing it? He didn't tell y'all to sit up there, y'all praying. What you praying for? He looking at y'all like, I told y'all, handle your business. And you're going to recover all. I'm going to tell, I keep talking about David. David said, can we pursue? He said, yes. And you're going to recover everything that you lost. So we sitting there asking him, we sitting up there looking crazy. What are you waiting for? Why would I come in there when I done already told you to go and handle your business? Why you keep asking me? Go do what I put you on this earth to do. We supposed to be running this right here. You just turn around and sold yourself out. You just sold your brother out, wanting to protect each other. Your mindset is individuality. This is what happens when you allow people that don't like you to educate you. They had 7 years to get to our brains. And look at this, look around you. This is what they've done. 70 years of educating, allowing them to educate us. Only a fool. And Malcolm was right. Only a fool would allow their enemies to educate them. That's crazy. Right. That makes no sense. But I rest my mind.
None. Doc, when during the Black Power movement, and then you have, of course, the professional class of Black folks who were not, I would say, advantageous towards violence when it came to Black standing up and, fighting the quote unquote good fight. Is it because the education that they received showing them, this way is the best way? Meaning going through the systems that are established to air your grievance versus, picking up a gun, going shooting somebody. What is their biggest problem when it comes to Blacks using violence against violence?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I would like to divorce the idea of Black power from violence, especially physical violence. That's sort of a historical misnomer that groups like the Black Panther Party were these violent organizations. They were, the original name is the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. But the violence that many people are talking about is quite simply political and economic violence. When you go and you listen to a Leroy Jones, you listen to a Eldridge Cleaver, but Cleaver was what many people would term a war hawk. Huey P. Newton certainly wasn't. But when you're talking about this other iteration of Black power, and you have to remember that Black power principally had several major strains and strands of it, but principally revolutionary nationalists were trying to overthrow the government. and institute in one form or another, and institute their own version of Black nationalism. But Time magazine had a very interesting article where, and it actually made the cover of Time, and the title was "The New Black Power." And what it was a group of Black men who had been educated at PWIs, who had somehow become high-ranking officials in Fortune 50 companies, IBM and things like that. And their argument was quite simply that you're never going to physically overthrow the United States government because the US military is too formidable. So the better and more productive tactic is actually going to be us going into infiltrating, so to speak, almost like Dan Freeman, the spook who sat by the door, infiltrating white institutions and working our way up through. And as we're rising, we're bringing other Black folk up through the ranks with us. And in many ways, what they're talking about is Black capitalism and getting Black dollars. And if you're living within a capitalist society, and if you're able to get Black dollars, you're able to buy Black land. You're able to build Black communities. You're able to have Black families. So it was a different form. It's not necessarily all Black Powerites are not these war hawks like Eldridge Cleaver was. The argument that Black Powerites are having is quite simply, do you build your own, or do you infiltrate white businesses and institutions and work your way up and lift as you climb? So I don't think there's when we talk about this, there's always a tendency to go ahead and say, well, Black power equals Black military violence. And in many ways, Black power, as Sister Cassie is talking about, is best expressed through the accumulation of money and economic solidarity, where you're circulating your dollar within amongst yourself. And in many ways, that can be argued as being violent, especially to those it's working against.
Okay. We're going to go to our next video. And this one is featuring, what's this brother's name? Jimmy Webb, I believe his name.
When the police barricaded the area around Brown Chapel, SNCC withdrew from the Selma campaign in frustration. The barricades were to keep hostile whites out, the protesters in. One group, led by Jimmy Webb, broke free of the barricade. They were stopped by Clark's men.
I can't follow you, and I'm not going to follow you and give you personal protection. I'm telling you, for your own benefit, you had better turn around and get out of this area. You're not going to the courthouse in a group on the condition that you come here, and I'll assure you that.
All we would like to do, sir, is to go to the
Courthouse is closed. There's no business there.
We don't want to go in the courthouse. All we want to do is go to the front of the courthouse, kneel in prayer, and we'll gladly return.
You take your prayers back to your church. That's a proper place to pray.
Sir,
I'm sure that God will hear your prayer just as well down there as it will up here, but you're not going on this courthouse alone. So.
Sir, whenever there are men who are in sinful conditions, prayer should be uttered wherever they are.
Well, why don't you pray where you are? Go back down there and pray. You think you're lily white? You think you're not sinful? Well, then go back to your church and pray.
Well, sir, can we pray together, you and I?
You do your praying. I do mine, big boy. You don't pray for me. I don't want you to pray for me.
Well, will you pray for us?
Because I don't think your prayers get above your head.
Well, will you pray for us?
No, I'm not going to pray for you. I'll tend to my business, you tend to yours. Now, you better move these people out of here.
Sir,
I'm trying to protect you.
Sir, sir,
I don't have to love anybody I don't want to love.
Sir,
You do your own loving. You love your little niggas. I love who I please.
Do you believe in equal justice for all?
I believe in justice.
Do you believe in equal?
I don't believe in equal nothing. There's no two people in this world alike, and they are not equal on any terms or conditions. There's no two peas in the world alike. No two pieces of money nor nothing else.
So are you saying that if I have a quarter and I'm black and you have a quarter and you white, then my quarter isn't as worth as much as your
That's
quarter?
your quarter. I'll
Is my
decide-
quarter is worth?
I'll decide what my quarter is worth. You use yours and I'll use mine. You buy you a catfish sandwich and yours. I have nothing else to say.
What's the deal here now? You people in this small group want to turn and walk on back to the group. The rest of the group's down there waiting on
We
you.
have your protection.
We'll do everything we can. Just go on back down there. You didn't have it coming up here.
That was 16-year-old brother named Jimmy Webb. And I was reading a little article about him. And the black people that was there with him that day, they thought Jimmy was going to get them killed because they said they were surrounded by angry whites. And Jimmy is having this conversation that we just watched with the sheriff. And they were like, let's get the hell up out of here before these crackers kill us. Well, they didn't use the word crackers, but before these angry white folks kill us. You know, she said that she was, you know, in fear of her life because that crowd around them was very angry and it was growing and growing and growing. And Jimmy's having this conversation. You know, the crackers say, I don't believe your prayers get above your head. No, I don't want you to pray for me. And no, I ain't going to pray for you. And no, there ain't no equality of nothing, you know.
I totally agree. We don't even serve the same God.
Exactly.
We don't serve the same God. So
Exactly.
that right there, shouldn't have, we gonna force them to let us into their schools. What? You had your own schools. That blows my mind. It makes me so mad because I'm like, our ancestors separated us for a reason. They knew how these crackers was. They knew it, that they weren't going to ever accept it up. They knew that they weren't ever accept us. They knew it. Why do you think they separated us? And what did we do? We thought so much. We thought we knew so much more than they did. And we said, Grandma, but they love us. Grandma, they let us, you know. We did totally the opposite of what our ancestors told us to do. So it bothers me when I hear people say, your ancestors died for you to vote. No, my ancestors didn't die for me to vote for Biden or Trump. Because I don't believe either one that don't look like me is going to do anything for me. So no, they didn't die for that. They died for me to be free, mentally, physically. They died for our freedom. They didn't die for us to continue having white supremacy on top of you. So all of this stuff in the 60s and Martin Luther King, all that, I'm a Malcolm girl. I'm sorry, I'm a Malcolm. I ain't believing all that right there. I would never, because I know if somebody would have spit on me, I'm gonna spit back. I'm just saying, I'm not gonna sit there. You're not gonna punch me in the face and I'm gonna sit there. No, we're gonna fight. I wouldn't have been sitting on them stools. I wouldn't have made history like that. History for me would have been you spit on me, I'm gonna spit back. I just don't know any kind of hit. I don't know anything else. Call it what you want, but I don't believe that any of that should have taken place. You got beat down for what? To go to their schools and get our children got treated like dogs, and they still get treated like dogs in their schools. And then you turn around and say, "Here, master, go ahead and educate my babies." Oh yeah, I got you. Give me the brains. Let me show you what I'm gonna do with them. Look at our children now. Look at them in their schools. It's a mess. And we still trying to give them our children. We treat our children the way they treat us. We hate our children. And why I say that, because every day you give them your children again. You know that they have a pipeline to prison. You know this is nothing new. So no, I wouldn't have been standing out there with him. I'm not dying for the stupidity. No, I'm not going to have a conversation with crackers, demons. You can't talk to demons. You kill them. How do you kill them? With the sword. Period. We're talking crazy over here. Did my quarter worth your quarter? Dude, what are you talking about? What are you talking? You're gonna die for stupidity for nothing. I'm just saying that didn't even make no sense. I'm not doing it. I wouldn't have been out there. Now you want to do Malcolm X way? Oh, I got you. I'm down with that. Oh, I'm down. If you want to do Khalid Muhammad, I'm down. That's my boy right there. I'm sorry. I'm down. Let's do it. But all that peace and this, I'm not here for peace because you're not here for peace. Because every chance you get, you hang my babies. You shoot them in the head. I rest my mic.
Exactly. Thank you, Sister Cassie. Doc, on that video we just watched between James Webb and the chief of police down in Selma, Alabama, and being able to come back, you know, in our time of 2024 and looking at that, was it worth it to even have that conversation? Was it worth it to attempting to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge? When you look at the toll, the price that was paid, was it worth it? What did we gain from it any real value?
You know, I always evaluate if something is worth it or not based upon a preceding question. And it is, what is the outcome that you desire? And if the outcome is Black liberation or even strengthening Black America, you're never going to defeat white world supremacy by appealing to their moral position because they don't have one. Because just as you should have an outlook, an ultimate goal, they have one and they should have one, and they do have one, which is white world supremacy. Make no mistake about it. And every action that they're going to undertake is going to be aimed at that. Just as every action that you undertake should be aimed at Black liberation. Was that conversation worth having? No, not at all. You know, the only way that I can even begin to make any sense out of such foolishness is quite simply maybe they're following Dr. King's position of trying to get up close and personal snapshots of what white bigotry and white racism actually looks like, to be utilized to share across the news waves at a later time. You know, maybe you're trying to pull outsiders into this battle to get them to appeal to their moral position. Beyond that, no, I don't even recognize that as a part of the Christian faith. Not at all, because that does not reflect in any way the Black revolutionary Messiah that I read about. And I yield, brother.
And Doc, what's the code says? What is your definition of white supremacy? How would you define that?
An overzealous political and economic and social pursuit of world domination, if not extermination of all folk who are not only not white, but also any of those who disagree with the idea of white domination and white superiority. That's white supremacy. It's not just a speech. It's not just an ideology. It is an all-encompassing worldview and really lifestyle that sick individuals are involved in, and their commitment to it is going to become more and more and more intense and accelerated as it becomes more and more clear that they are losing the numbers battle. This country is browning. And trust me when I say that the worst thing that white folk could have done is to go into Mexico and to teach them people Catholicism, because they don't use no birth control. They believe that these 10, 12, 14 brown babies that they have are gifts from God. And these little bundles of joy are going to, in many ways, be a curse upon white world supremacy in this nation. We're getting ready to have a question answered. Do numbers really matter, or is money more important? Because the numbers game, they're going to lose, you know, so they better be holding on to the money and develop a white consciousness that says we'll only circulate our resources amongst our own.
And you know, Doc, I still can't get that picture out of my mind of, you know, you and Junior at the movie theater and the damn Mexican Junior's got their popcorn. I was sitting there thinking about that watching the movie the other day. And I said, that goddamn boy, oh my God. Lord have more the audacity.
Yeah, James was eating off of the front side, and little Mexican kid. And he didn't, he was 3-4 years old. He was eating from the backside, and and James, Dad, I don't even want this no more. I said, well, just let him have it. And he took it. He sat it in his little lap, and he wasn't really trying to share with none of his siblings.
Wow.
He had a hell of a day at the movies that day. Free large popcorn, extra butter.
And did his parents give you some money or tell you
I'm
they're
not even
sorry?
no, not at all. There was no, they were, like I said, it was like 12 of them. They were down the row a little bit. And
Wow.
There's a part of me that if I'm looking on the sunny side, I don't believe they were even aware of what he was doing, and then the fact that he had popcorn, because he damn sure I didn't see him share none with nobody. I saw him sit it in his little brown lap and eat off of it.
Wow, that still just blows my mind. The audacity. You gonna just take something that ain't even yours,
Well, he wasn't taking it. He was, he was sharing. We are the world. That's the hope, the innocence of childhood. You got popcorn, we got popcorn. Yeah. And he was, just imagine where your butt go in the seat. That's where his knees was, and his chest was against the back thing. He wasn't even watching the movie. He was just eating popcorn. James called on. He was like, oh. So, yeah.
Wow. And when we talk about white supremacy, I always call it fake because they're not supreme about anything. They're just not. So it's not real. But the systems that they make to affect your lives are real. And the moment we believe that they are supreme, they are the top, they are the best, they are the shit, that's us, the end of us. We're going to look at this next video where President Biden comes over to the black man's house to have dinner. He's bringing dinner for them. When I first watched the video, I was kind of ticked off.
Did he bring fried chicken?
Yeah. Unfortunately. And I was ticked off that the father would even let this bullshit happen. And when I'm gonna be quiet and let y'all look at it, and then we'll come back and we'll take it apart and talk about it. But I didn't like it at all. I didn't. So let's look at this.
Are you guys playing hooky today?
I think that one did. That's awesome.
Ms. Barlow, please excuse Carter for his absence today, but I needed his advice, so we had lunch together.
President, coming over to the house. President, come.
Here's your food, Mr. President. It's a pleasure serving you.
All right, man.
This is a very unique day, a very special day.
Dude, we about to eat dinner with Joe Biden. That's fire. Like, the president's coming.
Yes, Thank you, man. Thank you, sir. Keep the faith.
Couldn't really believe that the president was coming to our house.
Welcome, Rob. We really appreciate you coming to him.
Come on, man. This is a pain in the neck for you.
This is all great. So what we'd like to do is just come into our space, our living area.
All right.
Well, Carter, you want to show President Biden one of your pictures up here? You want to go over this side and show President Biden one of your favorite pictures on the wall?
Well, one of my favorites is this one right here. When we were in Jamaica.
That's cool. Oh, man, you got chicken fingers. You got the whole deal. I went the route of making sure I had the hamburger. So tell me about you guys. What you doing these days?
Why don't you share about your passion in sports?
I'm playing AAU basketball right now.
Are you really? Are you guard?
Yes, sir.
Now, what grade are you in?
7th grade.
7th grade.
Right now, I'm just doing basketball, playing guard on the JV team for my school.
How about in school? How y'all doing in school? You should tell the president about the school.
Favorite thing about it is the business academy I'm in. You get to like travel, so we've been to like NC State, Wake Tech, and
You're kidding me.
we went to this small dry cleaning business, and it's cool. It's a great experience.
I'm impressed. Is that a new program at the school?
Yes, sir, it is. It just started just a couple of years ago.
So what got you interested in teaching, administration?
So I grew up in rural South Carolina. My grandfather was very influential in showing me and teaching me that it would be good for an African-American male to be a teacher so that I could have influence, positive impact on the youth that we would be supporting in schools. And I started teaching in elementary school and then became an assistant principal and then principal here in Raleigh.
Are you available?
Always.
Okay. To the people that you're supposed to be with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's what's most important.
I understand you're interested in something I got involved in, mental health.
Yeah.
Tell me how I got interested in that.
I think I struggled with mental health earlier this year when I got hurt. I went to a therapist. I had a therapist. I think it helps. I know people may make jokes about it, but I think you should just, if you struggle with it, you should try it out.
There's nothing different than breaking your arm and having a mental health problem. It takes real courage. Generally, I really am proud of you. It's really amazing.
As, again, a dad working with two sons, supporting two sons, taking care of two sons, student loan was just something that was just an albatross and trying to take care of. And when that erasure happened, it was such a tremendous relief for the home. I can't explain how much of a positive impact that it has had upon me, but also with their future.
And how much was it forgiven?
$125,000, sir.
It's a life changer.
It was a life changer, a complete game changer for my life now, and then for them moving forward, because I am able to do things differently for them. So thank you for that.
I tried to wipe out all student debt. And the Republican Party went nuts. The very conservative Supreme Court that my predecessor appointed and bragged about ruled against it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. So I found other ways to do it. I found ways in which there were student loan programs that had forgiveness written in if you volunteered, you know, the deal, public service. And so I started pushing really hard. It's a simple thing for me. And what did you guys think? I think everybody deserved a chance. Yeah.
Like, what inspired you to become the president of the U.S.?
Well, my mom and dad thought you had an obligation. Not you didn't have to run for office, but you had an obligation to change things that you saw that you thought was unfair. It always angered me, like I've been angered you guys. You see someone being picked on.
Yeah.
See someone being made fun of. But I love reading these biographies of me now. Biden knew when he was in high school he was going to be president. I had no idea. When I see things that just seem so unfair, I find myself getting involved.
What did you learn most about volunteering at the church? Think about it. So
you just got to be a good example, a good role model at all times.
At all times, okay.
I want the boys to be hardworking, to persevere, understand that there are going to be challenges that they're going to face, and that they're going to be, have to be strong. And we really want to be accountable for the things that we say, accountable for the things that we do.
I'm working with little kids like elementary school, kindergarten. So I just have to make sure I always doing the right thing. Try to have them follow my lead,
Wonder where you get that from.
You turning 16, man. What are you looking forward to being 16 years old?
Driving.
Driving? Okay. What you gonna drive?
Tessie. Tesla. I want like a black Tesla.
Oh, no.
Or like a big pickup truck.
Okay, I'm thinking like a 1990 station wagon, you know, something very safe for that. So, Mr. President Biden, what was your first car?
1951 Plymouth convertible. My dad managed an automobile agency. He didn't own it, he managed it. I couldn't have a car until I was 18. I could drive. The great thing about my dad's job, he didn't have any money, but the great thing about it, every prom, he got to take a new car to the prom. Because you could train for the night, you get to drive a new Chevy.
That's up.
Yeah, or something nice off the lot.
Yeah.
As you know, owning a car is a big deal to this physical safety. Because what I wish you a lot of luck, man. You're 2 years ahead of me.
As I'm raising 2 young men, and you had the pleasure of raising 2 young men, what advice would you give me to keep in my mind as I'm raising these boys here?
Well, for me, it was just hold to certain basic rules. One of them is, be honest. And 2, you're going to make mistakes. But just get back up. You know how much this guy loves you. You can just feel it, can't you?
Yes, yeah.
Your dad jumped in front of a bull for you. By the way, we dads are hard to raise once you're a teenager. We're hard to raise. So you gotta be patient with us, you know what I mean?
I see.
A little patient. I'm formally inviting you to come to the White House to see me. And you gotta make me a promise. When you guys are president, and they say, Joe Biden down the way, you promise you won't say to your secretary, Joe who? Yeah. A deal?
Yeah.
All right.
For the president, this is not company that we're accustomed to having. Seeing them just have a conversation with President Biden was just unreal. I'm speechless. I'm super proud. Did a great job in just being your authentic selves. It just happened to be 46. Thank you so much, sir. It's crazy. You was just so hard to be. That's the experience of a lifetime. Lunch with the president. Lunch with the president? All right, let's go.
You back inside?
I'm freezing.
You back inside?
Yeah.
All right. So before I get into my questions, what did y'all get from it? Doc?
I mean, you know, man, black family, black man raising his 2 sons, is admirable, and all of that. I thought they could have went to a better fried chicken joint because them tenders and them fries. He got a presidential chef. He didn't, Joe can't be, he can't be eating like that. Joe old. He looked exactly like John McCain when he was looking at them pictures. He had no idea where the fuck he was. Okay, so I mean, I don't take anything from it. I mean, it meant nothing. Just generally, it meant nothing. For me, there's nothing there. The most significant thing that I picked up from there is that the presidential limo got a hell of a door on it. That was a very thick door that brother had in his hand. So, it's a nice, it's a nice gesture. I don't denounce him for it or what have you. So it is what it is.
Okay. So, Cassie, what say you? What'd you get from it?
I'm totally disgusted. Totally. Total. Almost couldn't hold myself over here. I almost throw up in my mouth. You had the absolute nerves to ask a man that put most of your relatives and made a crime bill. You're going to ask him, how can you help me to raise my sons? Here's a whole crackhead son. What the hell can he tell you? What the hell can he tell you? What? He didn't want your children at his children's school. What the hell can he tell you? He didn't even like black folk. Why didn't you ask him, how are you going to fix the crime bill? What are you going to do different? You had a whole crime bill that put half black folk in jail and none of his son's friends.
Mm-hmm.
Who had crack all, and then they had the nerve to find what? Some what they found at the White House?
Is
cocaine or something? Well, we already know who left it. Everywhere he go, we already know who left it. So what we gonna do about that?
Mm-hmm.
So what did I think about that? How was that friend to black people? You know, whole black men that's training his children to be coons.
Mm.
What made you want to be president?
Mm.
You know, brother Maurice, in the event that we get invited to the White House or some dignitary event, I'm casting my vote for brother Isaiah to accompany us. Leave Sister Cassie. She obviously is gonna guarantee that we never get invited no goddamn where ever.
Hey, I'm just saying, if I get a chance to go, I'm gonna say what I got to say. I mean, and I'm gonna say it real calm. I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna say it real calm. I'm gonna talk so low so I can get it all out because I want to know. I'm just saying, inquiry minds want to know how was that friend for black people, and how we gonna fix the crime bill? I guarantee you, you trying to get some black votes. You still didn't get my vote because I didn't hear you say nothing about reparations. You talking about accountability. You didn't even hold your son accountable for what? But we gonna hold, you know, you want out of us to hold our black children accountable, but you don't hold your whole son, nor your family, nor yourself accountable. So why are we here? What is this all about? You went to Cookout and got some food. For what? I can do that. That's a $5 meal. Okay, that's the best you could do. You couldn't even go to one of the best restaurants and get takeout or something. I'm just saying, how was this friend? This is how cheap you thought of my vote. You couldn't even go to a real restaurant, or you couldn't even invite me out to a real restaurant. I'm just saying, what are we doing here? What was that all about? You didn't gain a vote. You actually disgust me even more because you sat down there and acted like you like black folk. And we all know you don't. We know who you used to hang with. We know who you used to hang with. What's the man's name?
Ooh.
Who was the man? Third good? I'm probably saying third good. Right?
No, you're talking about Strom Thurmond?
Strom Thurmond, okay. What? But you now you sit at a black man's table because you want something from me. Well, I want something from you, reparations. When can I expect the check? I'll rest my mic.
Definitely. You know, I when I first watched it, I was highly upset. First of all, there was no black woman in the picture. It's like, well, where's Mama at? You know, what's going on here? Then, you know, the dad talking about, tell the president about your sports, you know, about your sport. What? You know, and that whole thing, you know, the dad asked him the 3 questions, you know, what made you want to be a president? What kind of advice can you give me, you know, as I'm raising my son? You know, out of all of the things you could have asked the president of the United States that's at your table, those are the 3 trifling things that you wanted to ask. And to me, it's really shameful. It's really shameful to be used as a prop. To be used as a prop that ain't even going to get him a win. That's very shameful for a black man to have to play. But you willingly played that role. So, you know, you're not a black man, you're still a nigga because you played that role by choice. If you're going to have the president over, then damn it, you need to ask him some real goddamn questions. You need to really hold him accountable, not the foolishness that we just saw. That was very disrespectful, and as I saw it. And if I get to reach out to this brother, hopefully we can have him on and you know, ask him these straight up questions. Because I can guarantee you, as Joe told Charlemagne, well, you must not be black. I'm quite sure the questions that we would have for him, he'll be thinking, these niggas ain't black. That's what he'll be thinking. And he'll have to understand that we ain't no niggas. That's the first thing. You're meeting real Black men and women who ain't got time for the bullshit, that know what you are, see you for what you are, and we're going to put to you questions that you're probably going to try to work your way around and not be straight up and answer. You know, it is time for us to be proactive in our stance and stop being used by the Democrats or used by the Republicans, and then to be shown before the world as a goddamn lapdog. That's a damn shame in 2024. That is a damn shame. We are at our time, unfortunately. So we didn't have time to get into the next video, but we'll save the next video for the next program. But again, the topic of today's video, the cost of being Black, and are you angry? You know, Doc said in the beginning of the program, you should be angry. You should be angry. We laid out some reasons for your anger, and that righteous anger you should have. Because I don't want you to be sad, because in your sadness, you change nothing. You will continually to suffer it. But when you're angry, then you make shit change. You make stuff happen because now you pissed off. Now you're angry. And that anger moves you to action. And we have to be moved to action. Because at the end of the day, you're either going to act or you will be acted upon. And we've been acted upon for too long. So we're going to go ahead and move to closing comments. Doc, your closing comments for today?
You know, I'm just blessed to be in this number, and blessed to have, you know, this friendship. And, you know, brother, love you, Sister Cassie.
Yes, sir. Love
you know, love everyone, you know, that's here. And it's one of those things that we're going to win, and we're going to keep going down this path to win, you know, and that's just what it is, you know. And I look forward to the next time we're together. You know, I pray the good Lord, you know, ain't called me home or giving me the numbers to the Powerball or the Mega Million, because if I get that, I'll show up now. But if you look across here and I got a smoking jacket on with a beret, and you see a body of water behind me, don't ask no questions, brother. Okay? The Lord has shown favor on me. All right, love you all, and I'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Love you too, Doc. Sister Cassie, your closing comments.
Oh man, I tell you, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's just really a blessing to be here. And love you too, Doc. I tell you, but if you get $500,000, I'm gonna just I just want a piece, not even just a crumb. Just saying. Just a crumb. But I hope that people are taking us serious, and I hope you're listening to what we're saying here. Don't take this just as an entertainment. I'm not here to entertain people. I'm here to make you think. Yes, I'm raw sometimes. It ain't gonna change. I'm just saying it ain't gonna change. But I hope that I make you mad enough to want to do something. I hope I'm making you mad enough to maybe get with some family, some friends, and go and buy some land, or at least start to do something different. You know, don't just sit here and, you know, well, oh, that man, that's a good show. On to the next. Well, we're not just here just to entertain. We're here to change lives. We're here to change mindsets. And I hope we're doing that one person at a time. If we can get one, we're good. But thank you. Thank you, bro. Appreciate
Thank you, Sister Cassie. And again, I want to thank Doc and Sister Cassie for coming onto the program as always and showing their love for our people and giving of themselves that light, great energy that they have. You know, as they say, we are just like the candle. even though the candle is lit and it gives off light, but it's also dying as it gives off light. And we're giving off our light as we're still going on through our journey. What a journey it is that we are all on. You know, when I think about our people and what we've been through, you know, we are a special people. We are a glorious people. And it's unfortunate that not enough of us see ourselves as we really should. We are the children of God. We are the children of God. And some of you have taken Satan as your God. You have taken Satan as your mentor. You have taken Satan as your guide. And unfortunately, that way will not work for us. You cannot be American and be Black at the same time. The two don't coexist together. You have to realize that, and you have to decide to accept your own and be yourself. I wouldn't want to be a white man. I wouldn't want to be anything else but a Black man, a righteous Black man. That's what I am. And that's what we want all of us to be, righteous Black men, righteous Black women, because it is the time of the righteous. So I would always say, choose right, choose your own, because this is what we have. This is who we are. And so as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
You better get the message and get it straight. You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.